Welcome. This is a brief tutorial on installing the Atlas software under Windows. We'll start at the Atlas webpage, www.leegroups.org, and go to the software section of the website. That's the link here under software. I'm going to go to Introduction and then download and install the software. Okay, now we're interested in Windows, so that's here. And here's the zip file we're interested in. So click on this to download it. Okay. Now, please ignore the statement here that this file could be dangerous. Go ahead and keep it. And then double click on the file to open it. And you should get into the zip program, which will allow you to extract the files from this zip file. You can save it where you want. I'm going to save it to the desktop. You can save it anywhere convenient. And now you're done. You can close this, and we don't need the browser anymore. And we see that we've created this folder on the desktop called Atlas Windows. Okay, so let's open it. And in there are a couple of things. The one we're interested in is this folder bin. So let's start by opening that folder. And in there are a number of things. The two most important ones are the two executables, Atlas, which is here, and a little bit further down, the RealX software right here, and some other things which I'll discuss in a bit. But for now, let's run the Atlas software. And to do that, you double click on this link here, Atlas, and that will open up a terminal window. And let's resize it, and there we'll give a couple of commands to make sure the software is working. So let's give the command, for example, type, and we'll say A1 simply connected split. And I'll give another command, block, and I get some output just to see that the software is in fact running. I have a couple of choices to make, and I get a little bit of output. Okay, so that's good. It's important to check that a couple of other features of the software are working correctly. One of them is that you can do command completion and other operations from the command line. So to check that, you should hit the tab key twice, followed by return, and the software will respond with a list of all possible commands like this. And if this part is working correctly, that will happen. Another typical example is you'll start to type a command such as KLB, which I'll type here, and then I type tab, and it fills it out the unique way to KL basis, and then you can hit return and execute that command. And you should make sure this aspect of the software is working because it's extremely useful. And the other important thing to check is that the help system is installed correctly. So you should type help and then type a command, and you should get a help file for that command. So for example, KL basis, the help file looks like this. And I'll discuss in a minute what to do if these features aren't working correctly. And type QQ to quit the program. Now let's go on and talk about RealX. So I'll scroll down here and I'll launch RealX. Again, just by double clicking on it, I get a terminal window. And let's just make sure the software is actually running. I'm going to just set a variable equal to 1, say set x is equal to 1. Set x equals 1. And x is an integer, and if I want to know what x is, I just type x, return, and I get the value 1. So the software seems to be working. And one of the most important things here to check is that the auxiliary files are loaded correctly. So you want to do this command less than my, which will load the command my.rx, which loads a bunch of other files and a lot of auxiliary commands which you're going to want to use. So for example, now you can say something like set G equal to SL2R and get the real group SL2R, and you can print the block of the trivial representation of G like this. Okay, so that's working nicely. And you should also check that command completion is working here, so I'll hit tab twice here, and there are 849 possibilities here, so I'm going to say no, I don't want to see them all. But let's try something else. Let's say I want to print something. I say print underscore, and tab will show me all of the completions, for example, like this. So let's do print underscore block, and I'll type TRIV and type tab to see the completions of triv, which is trivial, and I get the trivial block of G this way. So the main point here is that these auxiliary files have loaded correctly, and the command completion is working. Okay, so let's go back into the directory and just take a little bit of a look around to see what's here. The messages directory, this is the directory that has the help files for Atlas in it. And that needs to be right here in the same directory as the Atlas executable. And if you're not finding the help files, it has something to do with the location of this. There are a bunch of files that end in .rx. These are the RealX auxiliary files that I loaded. Right here are a bunch of DLL files. This is some Windows specific information that Windows needs to make the software run. There are a couple of readable files here, functions.help. There's a couple of README files, readme.rx scripts, and realx.help, and then I think most of the rest of the files here are these .rx files. And the key point here is that all of these files are exactly where they need to be to make the software run correctly. In particular, the messages directory here is necessary so that Atlas will find the help files it needs. The .rx files are here so that RealX will find all of these auxiliary commands which have been defined. And the .dll files are here so that the software will run it all. If you have any trouble with any of these aspects of the software, you can look in some of the additional files here in the software distribution or on the Atlas website, and you should always feel free to email the Atlas developers for more assistance. From this point on, I suggest that you go on to either the Getting Started with Atlas or Getting Started with RealX videos.